this is love, I'm not sure, but I be letting go.
Baby, are you sure that you want me? Baby, are you sure it's not the end? Cause this feeling got me with you, and I don't want to share you with nobody.
You know I don't trust nobody but myself. That's why sometimes I be talking to myself. And then I met you and you remind me of myself. Oh, baby, if you leave me, I will kill myself.
Baby, are you sure that you want me? Baby, are you sure it's not the end? Cause this feeling got me with you, and I don't want to share you with nobody.
Are you sure? Lighter and Naira Marley right here on Hot 93.3 FM. Good morning to you. It is time for us to discuss serious matters, and we're going right into that.
We are the one and only for the best music. We are Hot FM 93.3.
Yeah, 100%.
Check it.
Okay, and yes, we are back right here. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good
morning. Good morning to you. So guys, welcome. This is Financial Matters, and yes, I am Daisy. Nice to meet you again. And I have here Izu and Essay. They've been doing an amazing job so far on the Financial Matters. They've got you guys covered on everything financial, business, and payments. Money. I like the sound of money.
Cha-ching.
Okay, so what are we discussing today? Is it, first of all, how has your morning been? I mean, it's a new month. It's the 1st of December. How has it been so far in the past, how many hours?
Well, I like the smell. Christmas actually does have a smell. And the Christmas lights, the colors. I feel like if someone just left jail, right, and you ask, he'll probably guess right that this is Christmas without even seeing Christmas lights or anything. It's almost magical. It's amazing.
The feeling is amazing. We just can't get enough of it. And the fact that we have to wait a whole 11 months to get this again, it's such a long time. But we're finally here, right? Essay, how do you feel?
Good. I feel very Christmassy. I'm excited for... I can't lie. I'm excited for Dirty December shenanigans.
Dirty December.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
And one thing about Dirty December is you need to have some dough, right? You need to have some cash to spend. And that's why we're here, right? With Financial Matters, dealing with everything about your finances. We have got you covered. Speaking of finances, we've got some buzzing news everywhere. New payments, the future of payments across Africa, and so many other things that has to do with payments and money. And we're going to be discussing that right here. Some people, some sects have said that money and fiat currencies would go out of circulation very soon. And that in the next future, I don't know how long, maybe 20, 30, 50, we're going to be having one currency. And some people have said that crypto is that currency. So we want to discuss that and see, the possibility of that actually happening, and if we should start looking in that direction, right?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Okay, so yes, to have that discussion with us today, we have someone that is a crypto expert. He is someone that has been doing crypto for a very long time. He works with Yellow Car Nigeria. We're going to be putting a call to him pretty soon. But before we put that call soon, we're going to be putting out the numbers out there. Okay, so the numbers to call are 0818-242-6591. And we have our WhatsApp lines available. That's on 0818-008-9933. Also, we have a number on 0125-23933. For you to call into the studio. So we're going to be putting that call through. And when we come back, we'll be taking those calls. Okay, so stay right there with us. We are still the trio on the Financial Matter Show. Essay, Uzo, Essay, Izu, and Daisy right here. It just, it's just, yeah. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we'll be right back.
We are the one and only for the best music. We are Hot FM 93.3. 100%. Check it.
Logo and choose, baby. Yeah. Na 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 na. Yeah, yeah. The way you went from me, the way you broke it down, the way you do it, what you do, the way you walk it down. Don't be ashamed, baby, turn it round. Give me what I want, I give you what you need. Yeah. You want money, yeah, go. Money, yeah, go. You want good deal, yeah, yeah. You want good deal, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Every morning, my teacher, every morning, I wait, but every Lord, make I chop you, make it chop me, I'm on no be love things, yeah.
Jules, baby.
So let me go, okay, Nigo. So let me go, okay, Nigo. Give me everything, give me loving so. Never judge you, I love you like you are. Oh, oh. It's all let me go. Okay, me go. It's all let me go. Okay, me go.
the best music. We are Hot FM 93.3. 100%. Check it.
Exactly. We are Hot FM 93.3. And right here, we're on the Financial and Business Matters Show, brought to you by Hexavia. And you've got Daisy, you've got Izu, and you've got Essay right here holding it down, talking about money and everything bills. We have been discussing crypto and the future of Nigeria, payments, and that currency that we see might just possibly be the global currency that everyone will be using at some point. Why? Because it has managed to cross borders, and it has managed to defy all of the limitations that we have to do with payments across borders. Right, Izu?
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly think that there is a lot of misconceptions around money payments and all that. One of the fundamental things people need to understand is that money itself is an abstract concept, right? Money is just anything that is generally accepted as consent for transfer of payment, right? So money could have been anything. Money could have been stones. It could have been calories. It could just once 2-3 people agree, right? So that people don't hold on to the whole currency thing. And as the world changes, everything changes as well. The world has changed in the last 10 years more than it has in the last 100 years, meaning that next 1 year, currencies and payments will change. I still feel like in 10 years' time, our kids, when we tell our kids that once upon a time, right? If you needed to make any payment, you need to bring out your card to swipe. They'll really look at it like, oh, that's really weird. It's like you're trying to tell your child about cassette tapes now. I feel like
Yeah.
in 10 years, there won't be any need for a POS machine, right? Or an
10 years
ATM.
is such a short
Yeah.
time.
But some people are still basking in the fear of I have a black card, I have a Visa, I have a this.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of dynamics that's going to change.
Yeah, and that means we have to move. I mean, we have to keep moving. We have
Absolutely.
to move with everything happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so to discuss this, like we said, we have a crypto expert. He's online right now. We have Paulo Abamwa right here. He's from Yellow Card. He is the marketing manager of Nigeria. Hi, Paulo. How are you?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm great.
It's nice.
How you doing?
I'm doing very fine. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, I'm great.
It's a
Doing
new, it's a new month, and we're talking about money, and it's nice.
well.
to-
No, right? Good sign.
Good times. It's really timely that we're discussing crypto as the future of Nigeria, not just Nigeria, of course, the world's global market. And it's the
Yeah.
1st of December. It's a time that people are spending a lot, right? And how do you see this playing out? You know, do you think crypto is really the future of Nigeria, first of all? Of payments in Nigeria and globally, first of all?
Yeah, so I think crypto is the future of money generally, right? And yeah, we still have a long way to go. There's still so many things that need to be in place, but I feel like there's a need to be able to make payments seamlessly, to retain value in your money, and just to have access to so many financial services that crypto would be able to easily facilitate, right? So definitely in due time, I don't know how long that would take because it will need to there will need to be a lot of adoption for that to happen. But I definitely see crypto as the future of money eventually.
Okay, when you say adoption, how do you mean? Because we know that it has been widely accepted by people, although we're still having regulatory issues. So when you say adoption, are we having issues of adoption in countries? Just help
Yeah,
us.
so
Yeah.
adoption means it just being accepted. So now you're saying it's been accepted by a lot of people, which is quite true, right? But until you're able to use your crypto to purchase things on your street, right? To maybe get groceries, to be able to just to be able to use in your daily life, right? Then adoption has not been achieved yet. So there's still, like I said, there's still a long way to go. Adoption means everybody has accepted it, including the government, right? There are regulations in place and there are policies that help support this adoption that we're talking about. So it needs to be widely adopted for us to move to that point where we think crypto is what everybody would then be using for whatever it is that they do in their regular lives every day.
Cool. That's super interesting. Hey, Paolo. I think when like a lot of people hear crypto nowadays, I think the first thing that comes to mind is the whole FTX thing. At least that's the thing that's most recent in the news in regards to crypto. So for those of us who don't have our ear to the crypto streets, could you give us sort of like a top level summary of what that situation was? Or is?
Hi, Paolo. Did you get the
Yeah.
question? Did you get the question?
No, so the question was, I didn't really guess. It was quite low.
Okay. Basically, what we're asking is, with the whole FTX thing, right, is like the most recent news that we have on crypto, right? Could you like give us an in-depth understanding what actually went down?
Right. So basically, what happened with FTX is they placed customers' money, right? They on some risky bets, and did a lot of things that were not that shouldn't be allowed in this space.
Okay.
When you look at it, but the reason being, it just showed a true lack of transparency from the people that were involved at FTX, right? There was no protection for customers'
Yeah.
money, and there was no would I call it was just a general disregard, basically, right? And it just means that we need to have structures, we need to have regulations that protects customers in the space, and at the same time also promotes innovation, right? So there needs to be better transparency, there needs to be better risk management, and of course there needs to be stronger governance. We need to be able to hold people accountable for their actions. Yeah, so that's just basically it. Like it's just it's very irresponsible what happened at FTX, and it's the kind of behavior that we do not want in the crypto space.
I feel like one of the fundamental issues also is, I mean, it's not a generational war, but I feel like the younger generations, right, one of the key fundamental issues that happen is same thing that happens in showbiz. What happens when a very young person has so much access to wealth without experience, right? I mean, I remember my mentor, I was asking my mentor, who's quite wealthy, and I said, imagine if you had this money in your 20s, right? And he said, if I had in my 20s, I probably would not be sitting down with you. I probably would have died early, because you see, there's a lot of this startup, and I want to even spread this to maybe fintech companies where you have maybe 26, 27-year-olds who sit on funds as much as $1 billion, and right now everybody's raising. I mean, that's good. But you see, there's something experience also does, because if you have mentors, one of the first things I realized about the FTX thing was lack of corporate governance, insider trading. Matter of fact, after I think the guy's name is Sam Bankman, the FTX chairman, CEO, after he stepped down, and then they had this guy come to try to salvage the whole thing. I can't remember his name now. I think something J Ray. J Ray, for people who are in corporate world generally, is like a legend in restructuring very terrible companies. Like, he was behind the biggest scandal of all time. He was one that tried to salvage Enron. If you know the Enron scandal of 2001 that led to the bust and the whole recession thing. I mean, that eventually led to what you call today KPMG and them, right? But he described that as, this is perhaps the worst issue. But the first thing I saw there was corporate governance. Young people without mentors, without corporate governance, without regulations, without boards, because I mean, you're selling to yourself, you're taking people's money and then you're using them for bets, and you're using them also to finance other things. I mean, and all that. And at the end, once Binance said they were going to help out, and then later they pulled, that was a really bad sign in itself. I mean, in 3 days, people withdraw over $4 billion, right? And you should have that type of pressure. And right now, I fear whether or not crypto would bounce back as much as it was, because I mean, the 20% down, like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is 20% down, right? I mean, just when they were recovering from the May issue and scandal. So I told this to Paul, right? Paul, for people who are in that whole blockchain technology, what do you think they can do better in terms of accountability, especially since there's no regulation externally, but internally, how can they regulate themselves? Like, absolute power sort of intoxicates. So what's your suggestion, Paulo?
Yeah, thank you. So I think I got this one. In this instance, right, I think in the within the ecosystem, right, there needs to be a certain level of accountability. These companies need to have transparency to a very great level. Like, there needs to be transparency to a very high level, right? You need to understand that you're dealing with people's money. So it's not just basically about what you're building at that point. You owe it to the people that you're building your products for. So there needs to be a lot of transparency on everything that you're doing, right? So in the space right now, there are no regulations, and it also points to the fact that we do need regulations within the crypto space. There needs to be policies that would help everyone thrive, right? It needs to be regulations that would help both the customer. This trying to build, like this, every idea that everybody's trying to put out there, right? There needs to be regulations to help those thrive responsibly.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, so we have to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be having this discussion and more. We've got Paulo, who is a crypto expert who works with Yellow Card Nigeria, and we are talking about the future payments of the world. Some people have said it's crypto. What say you? We'll be getting your thoughts and lots more right here on the show. It is Financial and Business Matters. Let's go pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
We are the one and only for the best music. We are Hot FM 93.3. 100%. Check it. Hot 93.3, Lagos.
Ghana welcomes you and the rest of the world to Afro Nation 2022. The fun begins on the 29th to the 30th of December at Accra Marine Drive, Black Star Square. Live on stage, Davido, Meat Mill, P Square, Rema, and many more. To purchase your general admission day tickets, dial star 920 star 60 star 00 hash or call 233 5930 42868.
We're here for you all day, every day. Hot 93.3, Lagos. Lagos.
Pressure. That is some feeling that some people will be having this dirty December. While some people are partying, some people will be having a lot of pressure. I hope that we don't get to fall in that space. I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, good morning to you once again. This is still Hot 93.3 FM. Time check is 27 minutes gone past the hour of 9. And you're still here on Financial Matters. You've got Daisy, you've got Izu, and you've got Essay looking all beautiful and all shiny this morning. Yeah. Okay. So yes, we're talking about money, and I am just a very playful person. I like to play with everything, but then money is very important, right? And right here on Financial and the Business and Financial Show, we are discussing the future of money, what it would look like when we have one currency or when we have one form of payment that everyone around the world uses and gives you great value. Inflation in Nigeria is like over the roof.
Yeah.
We're having payment issues. You make money today, you invest, and you come back tomorrow and it seems like you shouldn't have invested. It's really crazy these days. And these issues are what we face. So is crypto really the future for us? Is that the other way that we should go? So that's the discussion we're having this morning. And we've got a guest, the crypto expert.
Yes, we're here with Paolo Abamwa, the marketing manager of Yellow Card Nigeria.
Okay, yeah. And yes, he is giving us some tips and giving us some really, really good vibe. Paolo, are you still there?
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
So before the break, we were talking a lot about like regulations and the need for that. I think for some people that may be sort of a contentious topic because the whole point of crypto was that it was sort of decentralized, it was anonymous, it wasn't something that governments could control. The whole point of it was sort of this idea of something that existed outside of established systems where people could make money without, I guess, the sort of government interference. So like now that people are talking about the need for transparency and regulation, how do you think that's going to affect the perception of crypto moving forward?
Did you get that? Okay.
Yeah, I think I got the question for a bit.
Okay.
You're asking how the regulation would affect
Yes.
the cryptocurrency space, yeah?
Yeah, the
Great.
perception
So
of
basically-
crypto. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do not think that having regulations really affects in a negative way, at least, right? I think it's actually a very good thing for regulations to be in place. So the regulation is very important, right? Because we need to learn to separate the technology from the companies that are building on this technology, right? So the technology is something that we need to accept as a whole. So it needs a level of acceptance, and for that to happen, there needs to be regulation. Like there needs to be regulations for it to be actually effective to reach the desired objective. There needs to be policy makers needs to come together, governments, every important player in the crypto space has a responsibility to work in tandem. We need to come together and see how we can have like specific guidelines and policies that would help us, that would basically help this ecosystem thrive responsibly, like I said. So it needs to work. It needs to work, and it needs every important player for it to work. And for that to happen, there needs to be policies that would be made. And in certain areas, right, it's already happening. Especially in Southern Africa, there are actually free. There are already policies that are, help these countries, right? That help cryptocurrency adoption in these countries. Especially in Botswana, for example, where they just handed out. They're giving out licenses to crypto companies, and you look at one of the first to have a license to allow Botswanans citizens to buy cryptocurrency with their legal tender, right? So it needs to happen, and it needs to happen across the continent.
You know, Paolo, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. The fact that a country in Africa has gotten a license to operate in crypto, and that's in Botswana, Southern Africa. Do you see that spreading out to other countries pretty soon? Do you see that happening in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think so. For instance, we've moved from being completely antagonistic to the idea of cryptocurrency to the SEC issuing regulatory guidelines, right, for digital currencies and cryptocurrency-based companies and whatnot, right? So it's just basically to protect the investors, to protect to protect every player in the space, right? To ensure that there are certain standards that must be met, and to also ensure that we're basically carrying out ethical practices, like everybody's practicing in practicing responsibly, basically, in the crypto ecosystem.
Oh, I'm just, it's funny how people don't even see why it's Botswana, right? Botswana, if you look at the dynamics of their politics, because don't forget, regulations come from the political system, right? The people in
Right.
Nigeria, I'd say people in Abuja. But you have to understand something, that Botswana has a very youthful, right, political terrain. You see, the fun of the problem you're going to have in Nigeria is that regulators are usually not as smart as practitioners, right? So I'll give a practical example. The pharmacies, right, are one step ahead of the Ministry of Health, right? The filling stations are one step ahead of the DPLs and the NNPCs, right? The people who are selling drugs, whether illegal or legal, are one step ahead of NAFDAC. Matter of fact, the legal guys are one step ahead of NAFDAC. The illegal ones are one step ahead of NDLEA. So, and that's a real concern. So until that, because first of all, how many people in CBN understand crypto in the way that it is? I mean, you left school by the time you left school as a computer scientist, and by the time you left school, you probably was doing Fortran, COBOL, and BASIC, and now you're talking about the technology you can't relate. And this is what happens with people. Once they can't relate to a technology, they criticize and abandon it. Paperless. The Nigerian government still got battling with paperlessness in ministries because some of them don't understand how to send simple emails. You might be shocked at how many people don't understand how to use a Google Cloud. So sometimes I think one of the things that people who are in that space have to do, and Apollo, I'd like to get your perspective on this, is basically how can you infiltrate the regulatory systems with younger people who can drive the change you're looking for? Because see, this change is static, right? It's not static. Sorry, it's going, and people are going to get consumed by it. Is either you accept it or get consumed by it. So how do you infiltrate? Like, how do you get into Senate, for example, to promote a bill that would open up regulation conversations? What are you guys doing in that industry as regards that?
Paolo, are there some regulatory moves that
Is
are
that for me?
being? Yes, that's for you. Like, are there some regulatory moves that are being taken already? Are there moves that stakeholders like yourself, right, your company, and all of that? Are they some moves that they are already making? To see these regulations, to work with the regulatory bodies to make sure that this happens in the countries that you operate in. For instance, here in Nigeria.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we are always open to having these conversations, right? And
Mm,
like you rightly pointed out, the very first thing is education, right?
mm,
You cannot accept what you do not understand. So you need a certain level of knowledge, right, to truly understand what cryptocurrency is. So that's the first thing that we're trying to do. We're always trying to educate um, the large population, whether it's in educating our customers directly through our academy, or in educating these government bodies and regulatory bodies and whatnot. We're always open to having those conversations because we know that cryptocurrency is the future, and we want every party that is involved to get that knowledge, to truly understand what cryptocurrency is, to truly understand how cryptocurrency can help the economy, how cryptocurrency can help create job opportunities, how cryptocurrency can help in just basically ensuring that we're able to carry out financial services across different financial institutions. So first things first is of course education, and that's the way we're trying to truly penetrate at first. And like I said, of course, we're always open to speak to um, different players in the space in
okay.
different capacities.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So, guys, we are discussing your future, the way you use money, and this is where you call in. So, the numbers to call into is 0125 23933. That is 0125 23933. You can send us a WhatsApp message on 0818 0089933. That is 0818 0089933. Let's get your calls and hear your take. Do you feel crypto is the way to go? Should we start seeing, or should we start expecting some regulatory bodies and some adoption in Nigeria, especially at the decision making level? Yeah. And so much more. That's the question we're asking this morning. So let's talk about the one of the things that have been dragging for a while around Africa. We have the Africa Free Trade Agreement that has been signed already by most countries, and we are seeing the adoption process already starting off, bringing this new concept of crypto. We understand that it facilitates cross-border payments. How do you see this impacting this agreements that Africans are already going into? That's the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement. Paulo?
Yeah. So I think crypto would serve as a plus in that regard. Mostly because then we'll be able to conduct businesses seamlessly, right? So
Yeah.
we want to encourage trade between African countries, and what that means is there would be a lot of money being exchanged, right? And for that to happen, there needs to be some sort of unified currency, which we do not have in Africa. Different countries use different local currencies across board, and for them to make those payments, for them to carry out those transactions, there's usually a need to either convert the currencies to maybe a particular currency, which is usually dollars, right? Which is usually the US dollars, or maybe agree on some certain amounts, right? And then it becomes very difficult because then you have to deal with different financial institutions. You have to deal with a bank in Ghana, for example, would need to deal with a bank in Nigeria or a bank in South Africa, and then they might have different policies and just basically different mode of operation, right? And then it wouldn't encourage the trades as much as we want. It wouldn't make things as seamless as possible. With cryptocurrency, and especially stable coins, right? They would be able to make these transactions in seconds, right? They'll be able to make these trades, be able to make payments seamlessly across borders, and it would also be cheaper to carry out this payment, you wouldn't spend as much as um, if you were trying to do it. If we're trying to maybe first of all convert it to a different currency and all that based on different valuations of different countries' local currencies.
Yeah.
So I think crypto is definitely a plus. It's to make trades faster, it's to make trades easier, and of course it's also make trades cheaper.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I think
Thank you.
something that's come up to mind for me that I've noticed, and I think I've also talked about with friends, is how like there seems to be a push for crypto among a lot of two certain like disadvantaged populations. Like we see like there's a push to adopt crypto in Africa, there's a push in South America, and even in the United States, I've noticed like a push specifically to like Black Americans, to like Hispanic people, to like essentially like people historically disadvantaged groups. And so I'm sort of thinking that it's marketed, it's like, oh, this is a way to gain financial freedom. This is a way to build wealth in a system that has sort of been against you from the beginning of time. And I think it's just very interesting given like the precarious state of crypto right now that seems to be the people that they're pushing towards. And I'm kind of curious about that.
But I think there's actually a reason why. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. Nigeria or Africa in general runs on black economy. So black economy in macroeconomics is the type of businesses people do that are not exactly illegal, but don't hit the GDP of the states, right? So black economies are stuff like hawking. People don't know how big, for example, hawking is, but the government doesn't make money from hawking. Tithing. So black economy examples are like tithe and offering, like hawking. You're not going to say they're illegal, but they are not legal, right?
Yeah.
And government don't want to push that a lot. And let's also not forget the real legal ones, like fraud, right? I'll give a practical example. During the NSAS era, right, when people were on the street and there was a lot of funding, because you wonder how people were staying 3 days in front of the toll.
Yeah.
And then one of the tactics that the government was probably do was, trying to shut down the sources of supply, because to every protest, to every political action, there's funding behind it.
Yeah.
And then they realized it was hard to block that because people were transferring money through crypto.
Yeah.
So I think that creates one more trust issue for government, right? Because the truth about it, a lot of the finance that came through that NSAS movement didn't come through normal banking systems, right? Which is good for the movement, right? But just to add to the reason why they push it around South America, Africa, is because African economy, right? And we don't talk about it, is that the biggest savior or a biggest contributor to our economy, actually black economy. For example, people don't know how big prostitution is in Africa, right? Look, people have gone to school, right, and graduated by hookups and being a runs girl, right? So the truth about it is, the people who sit on, because every system, right, there are people who sit on it, right, have done a lot of data analysis. Okay, where are the people? Because wherever there is that type of business, right, there's certain business you can't fund through a normal means, right, because it's not legal, right? It's just not legal. So I think that, just practically speaking, right, it's one of those things that is making like these big companies, especially crypto, that is sort of faceless, right, but still real face behind that facelessness are people who are looking at data and saying, look, wait a second, Africa spends so much money. Let's not forget the diaspora. A lot of crypto is diaspora to Nigeria or Nigeria to diaspora. I mean, an average Yahoo boy wants to do a transaction, he probably wants to take it off the radar and stuff. But the most important conversation in this is that diaspora market. It's something that Nigerians are not even. $20 billion comes into Nigeria every year from foreign
diaspora.
people, right? And so I don't know. Is there a way, Paolo, if you're still there, to bridge the gap between the diaspora movement of money into Nigeria, right, by non-central bank means? Is there any way you can like talk to that?
Okay, Paolo, I think the question is, how are you guys checking these things, right? I'm sure you guys have some measures that you put in place because you are the expert here. You know how the whole workings go round. So are there some measures you guys have put in place, like to know your customers, to check who is sending money and all of that? Is there like a process to these things that you guys do as Yellow Card, for example?
Yeah, definitely. So I think when people say cryptocurrency aids fraud, it's not exactly truthful, right? It's not completely truthful because fraud has always existed, even in the traditional banking and financial systems, and it most likely would always exist, right? Now, with crypto, what we do differently is we carry out processes known as KYC, know your customer processes, right? Which means that we're trying to get information to ensure that we have everything in place for an incident that we do not want to happen. So for different levels, we have different levels for different levels of KYC for different amount ranges. What that means is, for example, at Yellow Card, for customers to be able to move amounts, say up to like 200,000 naira, for example, right, in a day, there are certain things that we require from them. We need to ensure that they are actually the ones carrying out those transactions. We need to verify their names, verify their details, right? Like just follow anti-money laundering policies that have been set globally, right? So at certain levels, there are certain things that are also required. So we ensure that we carry out these checks. These checks are like the most important things for us. Also, not just to ensure that fraud does not occur, but also to protect the customers themselves, right? We need to ensure that they are fully protected and their funds are completely safe. So we ensure that we carry out a KYC check at different levels for certain amounts, for certain tiers, right? At Yellow Card, and it's paramount. It's very, very important. We do not take it for granted.
And yeah, thank you so much for that. I think that is something that also applies to most platforms that are being used for this kind of transaction. So I think it applies everywhere.
Very important.
Yeah, very, very important. Thank you so much, Paolo. Before we let you go, is there like some last words we like to let people just have their say, when they come here? Anything you want to add to what you've said before we let you go?
Yeah, so like I said earlier on, crypto is definitely the future of money, right? As we all know, like we didn't always start with actual paper currency, right? We've had to move from the trade by barter system to cowries to there's been like an evolution of money, right? And digital money is where we're going to be heading to eventually, right? We're actually there at this moment, right? But cryptocurrency is what will make it truly effective because we're able to have certain control of our money to a very large extent. So I would always encourage adoption of cryptocurrency, and of course you want to use Yellow Card, right? So you want to use Yellow Card to learn. First of all, we have an academy. We literally have an academy that's completely free for people that want to learn. It's academy.yellowcard.io. You can learn about cryptocurrency in different levels of your current knowledge, right? So whether you're a beginner, you're on an intermediate level, or you're an expert, you could learn on Yellow Card. You could also use Yellow Card to basically just store your crypto, buy your crypto, sell your crypto, and of course send money across borders, right? So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you very much for having me.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
That is Paulo, the marketing manager of Yellow Card, coming in to give us some insights about crypto and selling his market at the end of the day. So thank you so much for joining us, Paulo. But what say you at the end of the day? Are you convinced? Do you think this is really the future?
I think it's the now, right?
Oh,
First
it's the
of all,
now?
it's the now because you'd be shocked that Nigerians are not Nigeria. I'm not sure how well we do with data, but I really want to know the number of people in Nigeria that have access to crypto. I'm sure it's in its millions, but why I say it's now is that people have actually adopted it, and it's adopted around two lines, around generational lines. People below 35, right, understand crypto a lot more. Really do have like 50-year-olds who's trading. So that's one line. And also around occupational lines. A lot of guys who are informal sector, tech, right, and also black economy do a lot of crypto exchange, right? Every time you send money home, like maybe everybody now, when the Jackpot movement, people are off, right? Nigeria is in a lot more Canada, US, UK, right? Every time you send money home, you lose about 7% of that money, right, to exchange, right? Exchange. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer lending going on right, going on. So why do you, on different WhatsApp group, you hear people say, oh, I have this amount of money, who can give me the equivalent? So you can cut out all of that, right? So that's why I said it's now, right? And I hope that this crypto exchange firms, right, including like the likes of Yellow Cards and them, would take advantage of, just follow the money, follow where the money is going to. So a lot of diaspora money, if you can show someone how he won't lose 7% of any amount he's sending back home, that's a lot of money. 7% of, I mean, your mom's sick, you're in Canada, your mom is sick, maybe she's on dialysis or whatever it is. Every time you send money home, right, 7% of that is lost on that, between the bureau, the change guy, the exchange rate and all that. So I think they should look at where the money is, right? And a lot of black economy, what you call underground businesses. And I'm not, like I like to say, underground businesses doesn't exactly mean that they're illegal, right? But they're just not adding to the GDP of this country, right? Look, if you add, I don't know how much Nigerian GDP is, but I feel like whatever the GDP of Nigeria is probably 50% what it should be, because it's not calculating tithe and offering. Do you know how much flows in tithe and offering every Sunday, right? That's not in your, CBN doesn't capture that money, right? Do you know how much flows on things like extortion, for example? I always say that the biggest retail chain in this country are the police checkpoints, right? That the checkpoints, right? I mean, if you're traveling from here to say Imo State, the amount of checkpoints, right? You can't even travel from here to Imo State without having money. Just it's not even we can't call it bribe, because sometimes just like, oh, anything for the boys, you know, and that's a huge thing. But it's like the fax machine, like the email. The only way you can have anything become totally acceptable by having more people. You can imagine the first 10 people in the world who had an email address. It was probably useless. Email address becomes useful when a lot more people have email addresses, like the fax machine, right? Like the walkie-talkie. If you have more people with that, like, so the more people you put on the web. And that's why this black economies, right, would be a great place to, because they're uncontested and uncaptured, right? But they make a large pool, right? So if anyone's listening right now, it's really a management case study for a lot of people who have great products, but it hasn't been accepted. You're just another crypto. So a lot of people have good products and people are not buying those products, and people don't realize that the reason why people are not buying those products is that a lot of products you need, like table tennis. There's no value for table tennis, right, if you don't have someone else on the other end. One person can play, right? So I think that's a practical case study for a lot of people who are running businesses, and that's where freemium comes in. When you have a great product and you're sure it's a great product, you don't have to be in a hurry to make money. Just let more people use it first, because the more people use it, the more, like, you have the web, right? Like freemium. Hypo. I was reading some article about this Hypo guys, and you almost feel like we're doing free promotions for them. You know you know how they knocked out Jig? Jig, for years, we all used Jig, right? For a very long time. But the first, I think, 10,000 units of Hypo bleach that was ever produced was given out for free. Right? Because the more people use things, matter of fact, Red Bull, for example, when Red Bull started, the drink, right? I don't know how true this is, but I had a lot of Red Bulls, empty cans, were squeezed, right, without Red Bull in them, squeezed and dumped in people's bins.
Wow.
So imagine you're driving off your estate and most bins you're seeing like Red Bull. It gives you an idea, because people buy from people when they think people buy from people. I'll say that again. People buy from you when they think people buy from you. If you're going to buy Bolly, for example, on the street, and you see 7 people selling Bolly, and you see one particular out of that 7 with a queue, you probably join that queue, because you just assume that the Bolly is better than everyone else.
Yeah, the customer is your best marketer at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's great so far. Nigeria's GDP as at Q2 stood at 4 to 5 trillion naira, and
what's that in dollars? Please, we can't be talking about naira. like anything, like, it's a mental thing. I think every businessman should do. When they tell you things, you have to convert it mentally in your head, because it looks like it's a lot. It's not a lot of money actually. You put that in dollars.
Yeah, and that's one thing that crypto has managed to do. They just make us look at it from the dollar perspective almost every time. Everything you're doing, if you look at it from the dollar perspective, this thing is not so much, or this money is not so much. At the end of the day, when we had the inflation issue, when dollar was going high and low, it's as if the whole country wanted to go haywire at the time.
Right.
It's as if we spend dollars in this country than naira.
It's a good mental place to be in. I'm telling you, like, even for people who think they have money, in my head mentally, and like, it helps you bring home humility, because before you say you're a billionaire, right, be sure that you're converting your billion to naira, because to dollars, because a billionaire in naira is actually tens of millions, right? Less than tens of millions in dollars, right? And so Nigeria looks like, because I feel like there's too much, what's it called? There's a superiority complex around Nigerians that we really think Nigeria is really that big, right? In terms of wealth, we're really not. Like the whole economy of Nigeria is not as big as the economy of California, like one state in America, right? Like one state in America has a bigger economy, right? Like I was telling someone, like, look, the whole of the transactions that happen in the airport, right? The flight, the take in and take out in the airport, everything put together is not enough compared to one airport in maybe New York, number of flights that go in and go out. So I think people have got to be able to understand that, but not that 98% of Nigerians don't have 500k in their account. I don't know if anyone knows that. 98% of Nigerians don't have 500k in their account.
98%
of Nigerians don't have 500.
And that's a lot, man.
500k in their accounts, right? Do you know what that is? They put that in. Now, put that 500k naira in dollars. Like, we're really poor. Like, it's a rich country with poor people.
No.
Poor people. Like poor people. Like your richest man in Africa, right? Do you want to check the richest man in Africa? Do you want to check his rating on the Forbes list? So you start to see how far off we are. Like the richest, like you might check that we have how many billion people in Africa, and then Nigeria has 200 million people. You want to look at who's the richest person. Matter let me help you. Put the 5 richest people in Nigeria, right? Adenuga, Dangote, Boa, Rabiu, and all of them. Put them together and add that money up, and then put it back on the Forbes list, and you see that they probably don't still make top 50.
It's
right. You know,
we'll be fine. We'll be good.
Be good deal. Right?
See, at the end of the
but
day,
we need to work more.
We need to work more. We need to make that money. We need to manage that money. We need to multiply that money, and we need to start thinking from the dollar perspective. At the end of the day, it has been an amazing show so far. Oh man, we have done an amazing job. I think so. I enjoyed the show. I don't know, but then it's time for us to run. We have like 4 minutes to the top of the hour. And yes, if you're just joining us, well, I'm sure you've had a great time with us. It has been Daisy. I am Daisy. And of course, Izu and Essay. We've been here holding it down on the Financial and Business Matters show brought to you by Hexavia.
Yeah, and for people who are listening and wondering what Hexavia does, right? But do you want to talk about what we do?
Hexavia is a business consulting firm that offers services. And I think now towards the end of the year, you're doing a lot of like retreats, strategy sessions for companies, helping you all like gear up to make them dollars in the new year, essentially.
Yay! We like dollars.
Yeah.
So you want to make more dollars, listen to the show again. We come in every single Thursday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We've got you covered right here. Is a session of the Coffee Gang. We do this for you because we want you to, make money, come put adverts, come advertise. That's the aim at the end of the day. And we've got you covered on all of that. So yes, it's time for us to run. We have the news coming in at the top of the hour, but for now we have to say our goodbyes.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, yeah. So from me, it's have a beautiful day. It's the first day of December. It's a Thursday. The weekend is already here. Have as much fun as you can have. Celebrate and let the party after party begin.
Yeah, I almost forgot that the last time we were here, we promised people that we'll be giving a lot of giveaways and stuff, right? So we're still in the nominate your boss thing. Last week we had like nominate the best boss you've had so far, and then we're ready to give them. I tried to get tickets to Ashaka's concert. If you know anyone that has that, right, I'll be willing to give out some of those tickets the next time, right, when we come, and then nominate your boss for breakfast or for dinner at Co-Hotel or whatever it is, and we'll be on us. So just send a text if you give us a good reason why we should call up your boss and tell your boss, one of your employees said that you've been amazing all through the year. Right, just contact us at Hexavia, and then we'll be willing to make that happen.
How do we contact you at Hexavia?
Okay, so you said interested. You text interested to the number 080. Just say interested to nominate my boss to 08035202891. Or you want us to come in and do a strategy session for you guys on restructuring. We're available to do that. Just say interested to the number 08035202891.
Okay. I say, you want to chip in something?
No, I think we're good. I'm gonna go start Dirty December.
Exactly. Party after
Y'all
party.
have a good time.
Yeah, beautiful.
Party after party, then we mash up the place. Party after party, then we mash up the place. Mash up the place. Party after party. Party after party. Party after party. After party after party. turn up. Vibes on vibes, yeah, we burn up. Where the party at, I'ma run up. Going all night long till sun up.